here in Indianapolis, Indiana, at the world's largest children's museum. And guess what? They have one of the most amazing Chihuly sculptures. Let's go take a look at it. All right, take a look at this. We are standing in front of the world's largest permanent Chihuly sculpture, standing at a massive 43 feet off the ground. That is truly an outrageous piece of artwork. Thankfully, we're here with Christy O'Grady, who is the chief conservator here at the Children's Museum, who's going to help us better understand this huge, amazing sculpture. Christy, thank you so much for helping us out.
You're welcome.
Now, first of all, can you tell us a little bit about just the design? Did you know what it was going to look like?
We did know, actually. Gosh, as much as a year ahead of time, there was a very, very detailed model made of the entire sculpture. So not only the tower, but the pergola ceiling had been very carefully, there were detailed drawings and then a very detailed model made. So we knew pretty specifically what we were getting.
Now, did you guys get to decide on the colors, or was that Chihuly as the artist kind of his vision of it?
It was certainly, input from us. I think the idea of it being very bright and primary colors that kids would really identify with. But certainly Dale is the artist and gets to choose how it should look.
I love the colors on it. How in the world did they get this structure in here? What was it? I imagine it took a lot of time to put this together.
It did, although really, given how big it is, it's pretty amazing how quickly it came together. There was a lot of planning with Chihuly Studios and with our staff, so we were really prepared. And basically, what you can't see in the tower is that it's a huge armature underneath it. It's a red metal armature with little prongs, and each of these pieces of glass fits down on one of those prongs. So what we did, the armature came in 3 pieces, 3 or 4 pieces, and that was erected. Then there was scaffolding put up, and we actually started installing the glass from the top.
Really?
So from the top, and then we came down. The top is called the crown, the bottom is called the skirt, and we worked with Chihuly Studios. All together, people working on the tower were about 10 people.
Oh, now how did that come in here? Was it like one big truckload?
It was many truckloads. We had over 500 boxes of glass that arrived. And they were kind of coordinated by color and shape, and so it would just, every day we would open more boxes.
Cycle,
and exactly. Wow. Just an FYI, the fireworks of glass is the entire sculpture. So the tower is part of it and the pergola ceiling. So both of those together is actually the name for the sculpture.
So we're underneath the sculpture now. This is underneath the pergola ceiling, right?
Yeah.
This has got to be my favorite part of the exhibit because we've got the ability to lay down and just look through it. And wow, your analogy of a kaleidoscope is dead on.
It is, and it's so cool to see, to be part of the installation. And you can't say that each piece has a specific spot that it needs to go to, but they have a really definite plan about the whole way that it should look. And so they think about texture, and they think about color, and they actually think about what does the light look like when it goes through several layers of glass.
Good point. I wouldn't even thought of that, because it is definitely not one layer. I mean, you can see there's 4 or 5 layers in some of these sections. So
yeah.
Now that we're underneath it, is there any chance that we could go look from the top down?
I think we could do that.
Oh, okay, we got to go do that now.
Okay.
All right. So we've moved up here to the top, where I'm assuming not many people have gotten a chance to see this.
Not many.
I mean, this is dangerous, but this is an amazing view of this.
It is, yeah.
Wow.
Looking right into the top of the crown, just really gives you a sense of a little bit how it's assembled too. If you're right on top, you can begin to see the center of the armature. So it is really interesting.
And not only that, from the top looking down, you get a sense of just how many pieces, and I don't even think, how many pieces are involved in this?
In the tower, there are nearly 4,000 pieces. And then in the pergola ceiling, there's another 1,600. So well over 5,000 pieces.
Now, something you just pointed out to me that I thought was fascinating, they thought of every little detail, right?
They did.
So inside here, what do we have that's actually right at the tip here?
They've actually added some silicones where they make it and cut it off.
Yeah,
There's
the
a term for
attachment.
that, and I'm sorry I can't think of it. But they fill that with silicone and let it dry, and then when we installed it, actually there's just a slit made in it, so then it can be pushed down onto the metal armature, and it really acts as a gasket. So it helps protect this even more and helps give it a good grip to stay in place.
It's a great example of, I mean, there's a lot of science behind just thinking through the process of, you don't just put this together. It took a lot of engineering and forethought.
Absolutely. And they are very, very good at what they do.
Well, Christy, thank you so much for your time in the museum. This has been one of the coolest things I've ever seen. So
thank you.
Thanks so much.
Thanks so much for coming.
Wow, the Indianapolis Children's Museum is amazing. I don't know about you, but after seeing that huge fireworks of glass sculpture by artist Dale Chihuly, I'm super inspired. I've got an idea for a huge project, an outrageous project. Come take a look. Here's the idea. We're gonna make a huge sculpture inspired by the Dale Chihuly fireworks of glass sculpture. Of course, we're not gonna use glass. We're actually gonna use 2-liter bottles. This is gonna be outrageous. And check out the scale. We're gonna go a full 30 feet tall with this. I know, it's gonna be big, right? But I think we can do it. Let's take a look at what we're gonna need. For this project, we're just going to need some simple materials, and a lot of them. The first thing we're gonna need are hundreds of 2-liter bottles. It's not gonna matter what color we have. We've got green and clear. We're gonna use both. The one thing we're not gonna need for this project are the lids, so we can trash those. The next thing we're gonna need, though, are some scissors. Some good scissors at that. And perfect. Because what we're gonna have to do is cut off the base and, obviously, cut a design into the bottle. So these are gonna be perfect. Next thing we're gonna need are paint brushes. We need to paint this thing. It's gotta be colorful. I have some really nice big brushes to get inside these bottles, and they're nice and long. These are gonna be perfect. We're gonna be needing a whole lot of the next material, and that is paint. Here we go. Lots of color, and we got lots of paint coming here. Perfect. We are going to need a ton of paint for the thousands of bottles that we're gonna have to cut. All right, check everything off. We've got the bottles, we've got the scissors, the brushes, and paint. We're ready to go. Let's get started. In order to do a project this big, we're gonna need a whole lot of young artists. So I'm here with a huge group of 5th grade students who are gonna help me build this huge project. Are you guys ready to get started?
Yeah!
All right, let's go. First step, we cut off the labels. Then we cut the base of the bottle off. You have to be really careful doing this. Next, we started painting the inside of the bottles. We chose the primary colors just like Chihuly, red, yellow, blue, but added some green and orange for fun. It took a long time to paint 1,700 bottles. Finally, we cut out our Chihuly-inspired designs using scissors. I thought everyone was very creative with their designs.